All right, let's see if we can keep some reception this time, because I really want to speak to the woman out there who, whenever you've been a critical thinker in your relationship, it's been twisted and used against you as if you're being negative. Like you're the problem. Like when you see things for what they are and you can break them down, I mean, you can just compartmentalize how it was wrong, why it was wrong, why this should never happen in a healthy relationship, why that man that just did that thing would hate it if you did it back to him. And then he oversimplifies it, but in a way that vilifies you with the whole, man, you being negative. Anybody ever heard that phrase? I mean, any variation of it. Put I down in the chat if Amanda's ever called you negative. When in reality, you weren't being negative. You were probably being intuitive. There was something that was stirring up, like something that was bothering you. And when you spoke on it, when you voiced how you felt, when you voiced at least how you were seeing it, it got shot down or dismissed as being negative. Put I down in the chat if that's ever been you. I mean, I just saw, because y'all know at the end of my masterclasses, actually, this wasn't one from the masterclass. So the masterclass, Breaking the Soul Tie, one of the free bonuses is that I give people an opportunity to join my private mentorship group. Only a few slots, by the way. So one of the young ladies, she joined, and she had asked the question, how can she be more positive? Now, me, I'm all down for that, right? I got some stuff, I got some tools, I got some things I've had to do to overcome mental health challenges. Cool. Except I wasn't dealing with a woman that was fighting depression. I was dealing with a woman, after some questions, I realized I was dealing with a woman that was fighting a bum, a narcissistic manipulator who was convincing her that she was being negative for calling him out. Like this is what her battle was. She would call him out. He would do things, made her uncomfortable. And she had started believing that she was being negative. Y'all, about 6-7 years ago now, I think 2018, so 6 years ago, I started talking about narcissism. It was the first time I've ever seen on social media the conversation was even, had. But nonetheless, part of that was introducing gaslighting. Gaslighting is essentially whenever a person, man or woman, tries to attack your fundamental belief in your own experiences. Basically saying whatever you experience is not actually that. Like however you're experiencing something, it's flawed. It's invalid. And it's a character flaw of yours, the way that you're experiencing it. So it's too much to get into. But the phrase that I used to characterize so people could understand was whenever a man says, you crazy, you tripping. When you just calling him out, you peep the BS. Some of y'all may be familiar with that. But let me tell you something. There's another phrase I've seen more often than not these days that's gaslighting as well. And that's you being negative. You being negative. I do believe it's subjective, so let me be very fair, because I want to tell you what it really means when a man says you're being negative. The positives, let's start with the good before we get to the what it is. A lot of times, the positive is whenever, say you're being down on yourself. Say you want to take a risk, or you're taking a chance on yourself. You want to invest in yourself. There's something that you're interested in. And then that fear starts to creep up. That imposter syndrome, the inferiority that maybe you operated in at some point. The insecurity. Then a man that loves you may say you're being negative because he's really encouraging you to believe in yourself. Like there's a heart posture behind that. So that's a good thing. Okay. I'm not saying it's automatically gaslighting, but we're going to get to the other part. So use your discernment with this. That's one way a man may say you're being negative, and it's not bad at all. Another way that a man may be saying you're being negative is whenever you find a problem in every solution. So say, for instance, if something's going on and he's got to fix it or he's got to do it, and even without qualifying evidence, again, you're leading with fear, he may say you're being negative because you haven't given it a chance. Now, I would encourage men in this situation to first lead with curiosity. If that's genuinely how you feel, you're not trying to manipulate, be narcissistic, anything like that. You just seriously see that she's stopping everything that's supposed to be a solution to a problem at hand. Lead with curiosity. Curiosity first, statements last. That's how I coach all of my students. If you're going to have a conversation with your partner, curiosity first, statements last. When you lead with statements, you're already leading with closed-mindedness. You're already making the guard go up. The list goes on. But in that situation, I would say a man is not necessarily being manipulative. He may not be the most effective communicator. But if you're a man and you care about your woman and she's saying something, you feel like, man, like every time I fix something, it's always a problem. It's always a problem. Ask her why she feels that way. Curiosity. This is validating. Ask her why she feels that way. Get an understanding. Now, if he's exhausted all of that and you still just dead set on, there's got to be a problem, I got to have it like that, okay, then you might actually be being negative, okay? Now let's move on to when it's gaslighting. Whenever, let's say you just question him. Let's say he has a plan. Oh, you know what we about to do? We about to buy a new car. I want a Bentley. Let's just say he says something like that. I want a Bentley. And you say, Bentley, how exactly, how are we going to afford that? Here you go again being negative. That is invalidating. It's dismissive. It's essentially trying to minimize your voice and absolve himself of the responsibility as a man to bring you into whatever his thought process is. Maybe he can afford a Bentley. He ain't told you nothing about it. But I'm just giving you an example. If the man shoots down something that you might ask him to qualify a decision that he's wanting to make, especially one that's going to impact you, and you have a question, and he's you being negative, that is gaslighting. It is sending the message that even your curiosity or uncertainty is a problem, and it's a character flaw on you. It's a reflection of you being negative, as opposed to you being a critical thinker, being inquisitive, trying to make sure the I's is dotted and the T's is crossed. Or y'all want to go with a babysitter or a house cleaner or something like that. And you say, why this particular babysitter? Where did you get her from? Where do you know her from? Being negative. A girl out in public being too friendly. Who is that? You being, here you go. Here you go. And he may not say literally the words being negative, but he may just imply that you're already accusatory. And really it's just him being defensive. But again, he's turned it around on you. This is gaslighting. This is manipulation. I want y'all to know this so you don't start bearing this burden of negativity and the need to be more positive when really you're seeing things for what they are. He wants you to be so optimistic and positive that you let him play in your face. Which brings me to my second point. Another way that a man will use this phrase to basically gaslight you is whenever he's basically trying to get you to half cup full his disrespect. Again, playing in your face and then using this rhetoric of you being negative. I talked about earlier a real situation that happened. I believe it was a young lady that had submitted a question after the Masterclass, breaking the soul tie, but she was at dinner with her man. Y'all probably heard, if you was on earlier, you heard me talk about this, but she was at dinner. The man was clearly, if not flirting, at absolute best, blurring lines of flirtation with the waitress. And whenever you call him out, man, you're being negative. I'm just trying to see if she'll give us extra desserts for free. That's all I'm doing. You being negative. And basically, again, try to half cup full his disrespect. As if, the good outweighs the bad. There was another woman. Matter of fact, she's in my Self-Crown VIP. So we was able to have a much more in-depth conversation. But her man sells a particular product out in the streets. And in the process of selling this particular product, he likes to flirt with his female clientele. Now, here's where a lot of y'all may be able to relate, even though you probably never dealt with no drug dealer. He's telling her, you being negative. That's how I make my money. You being negative. Come on now, you need to stop being negative. Whole time, he's already chosen that the good outweighs the bad. But the bad is her feelings, conveniently. The bad is her safety in the relationship. The bad is the respect that he's showing, a lack thereof, to her and the relationship. But he's made it a matter of her character not being right. You being negative. You being negative. What do you mean? And what I mean by y'all probably can relate. You ever had a man that just felt like he should be able to keep you on the back burner because he's working so hard and you being negative? Whenever you say, hey, I need you to have a little bit more priority on me in the relationship, or We need to have more structure. I need to know what to expect. We need to honor whatever commitments we have to spend time together. Like, this ain't working for me. It's scattered. There's always something coming in and taking over the time that we were supposed to spend together. Oh, here you go again. And see, he might not say you're being negative. He'll say you stressing me out. Man, you always got something to say. Put I down in the chat if you heard some variation of this. When you asking for this man to uphold his commitment that he made in the very beginning. Oh, here you go again. Oh, you always got something to say, man. You find a problem with everything. Gaslighting. And I'm not saying a man can't be frustrated. I'm not saying a man can't be frustrated, but it still doesn't take away that is gaslighting. When he tries to shut you down, because nobody wants to be negative. It's always bad to be negative. And honestly, it ain't always bad to be negative. But there's a difference between you being negative and the situation at hand being negative, and you addressing it so you can have a more positive experience. Gina said, he'll say, you always got something to do. Exactly. Am I making sense to anybody? Put me down in the chat if what I'm saying in any way is resonating with you right now. Because I feel like a lot of y'all, just by having standards, a man will say you being negative. Just say the standard, man, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but let's say the standard is just the pace of the relationship. Y'all been in a boyfriend and girlfriend stage for 5 years, and you say, hold on, man, what's going on? Like, I didn't get into this to do the same thing I used to do back in middle and high school. Like, what are we building a family? Or like, what's going on here? Come on, man, we had a good thing going on, man. You over here being negative and stuff. Like, we just trying to have a good time. We just trying, man, we just vibing right now. We got a good thing. Why you want to mess it up now? All of those are variations of you being negative. Or anytime that you try to bring something up. Right now? That's gaslighting. That is a variation of you being negative. You ain't got to use the exact words. It's all about the heart posture. You want to hold him accountable? Oh, here we go being negative. And one last one, because I got to go get these kids from school. So I got to make this one quick. And this is the one I see most often. And this is what happened to the young lady that had joined my Self-Crown VIP mentorship. He had hurt her. He had broke her trust. He broke her trust and it inserted doubt in everything that he did going forward. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all anyway. Maybe not all of y'all. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. When a man breaks your trust, and then from that point forward, everything that he does or says has a question mark. And sometimes you're able to ignore it. Sometimes you're able to just say, I'm going to bite my tongue on that. I'm exhausted. I don't even want to talk about that right now. I don't even want to get deep into something right now. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you say, you know what? I don't know. I believe it when I see it. Or sometimes your energy just ain't as receptive to this man because the question marks are coming in your head about what he was doing before he even got there. What was he doing before he got there? Maybe you just triggered at the thought and the sight of him or something else, and you're just thinking back to when it happened. It done took you out the mood. Now you don't want to be as close. Now you're not as jovial and keying all over the place. And guess what? He says you're being negative. Your energy is down. You're being negative. A man will literally damage you, wound you, and then insult and shame you for the scars that he left on you. He will literally be the reason why you're not as upbeat as you once were. And it tell you to step it up. If that ain't the most gaslight, like y'all, man, you always got, oh man, your energy just ain't the same, man. You just whatever. It's like, brother, her heart being in shambles, her safety being gone, and now she's in survival mode is a bed that you made and you don't want to lay in it. You made this bed and told her to make it up. Y'all ever been in that situation? A man literally tick you off, piss you off, hurt you, play with you, embarrass you, disrespect you. And then as a result of that, strictly as a result of that, you ain't vibing with him right now. The intimacy has been badly damaged, reduced. Maybe even your attraction to him is on the rocks right now. You don't even want to be close to this man. Because the version of him that you got close to had shown you, or at least convinced you that he was safe to love. Safe to connect to, had a certain level of integrity that he moved with. But now you see something completely different, or at least you have questions about what you're seeing. And then he says, you being negative. Put I down in the chat if that's ever been you. Gaslighting. I need y'all to understand something. There are situations where you have to come into agreement with your own healing, your own moving forward. But I don't care what healing we're talking about. If a physical injury happens, God forbid, but anytime, there's always a time needed to rehab. There's a time needed before you can even start actively rehabbing that injury. There's a time where it's just going to hurt. This just going to hurt. It ain't time to start moving and working it or whatever. Sometimes you got to wrap that thing up in a cast for at least a bit of time before you can even start actively working and putting pressure on it or something. If it's a knee or ankle, anybody will tell you that. Same thing goes with the heart. Same thing goes with the mind. So when a man hurts you, disrespect, like anything betrayal-wise, anything like that, and then your energy shifts because your safety has now shifted, maybe even been blown up. Your perception of him, rightfully, your hope and belief in a relationship, all of that is rattled. And therefore you're rattled. He calls you negative. He's putting it on you. He's now holding you responsible for the impact of his decisions. Y'all get what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm always keeping 100 with you. And I want you guys to put that burden back where it belongs. You didn't ask to be impacted by, like, y'all, rebuilding trust should not be a skill needed for a healthy relationship. Let me say this again, because people gonna have their thoughts about this. I get it. Forgiveness is one thing, but rebuilding trust should not be a strength of yours in order to operate in a relationship with that man. Rebuilding trust should not be a skill you're supposed to come equipped with. It's nice if you can, of course. I believe so. We are humans, but it should not be something you have to be stellar at. And then whenever you're not stellar at this rebuilding trust thing, you're the problem. And you see what happens a lot of times in these situations is it fizzles out. He sabotages. Now he's put his comfort about your discomfort. He's put his comfort above your feelings. He's put his comfort about your discomfort above your discomfort. And now he can't take the relationship no more. He can't deal with you no more. You always negative. You always down. You never want to have sex with him. You never want to kick it with him. You just ain't the same no more. Whole time you left now with broken trust, broken heart, and a soul tie that still needs to be broken. Now, if that's you, I can guide you through the steps to break that soul tie. And by breaking that soul tie, really, that's half the work to rebuilding your own ability to trust. You're trusting your own decision making and your heart. I can guide you through. You click below at the comment right here. This is DerrickStreetMasterclass.com. Break the Soul Tie Masterclass. For those of y'all who've ever been in that situation, if anything I said so far resonated with you, you need to do a self-audit to see if there's a soul tie that needs broken so you can elevate in your own healing journey. I put the link down here in the comments. It's also at the top. Somebody said you never have his back. Oh, yeah. He going to say, look, you got to break the soul tie with those types to restore back to your full self. Now, moral of the story, again, if you want my step-by-step strategy on how to break the soul tie so you can get that mental and emotional reset, again, the link is down there in the comments. But don't let no man convince you that you're being negative by holding him to a standard and asking him to do the very job that he went so hard to apply for. Don't let no man convince you that you're being negative when really you're being intuitive. Because if he was really there to love you and love you correctly, nothing that he's done or said would aggravate or alert your intuition that something ain't right for you to be negative about in the beginning. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet big brother looking out for you per usual. If you got something of value, hit the share button because somebody else need it. And if you want more free game like this, again, that masterclass is free. Click the link that you see pinned down here in the comments. It's also in the caption when you back out.